All right, last week we talked about belonging. I asked you two questions. I asked you, how do you want athletes to feel in your program? And then I asked you, where are the areas of disconnect that belonging could be disconnected in the athlete experience? This week we're going to talk about 3 tenets of belonging. 3 tenets of belonging. These are nothing new to many of you all listening. And if it is new to you, thank you for being here. And so those tenets are athletes. When we look at belonging, once again is the first pillar of the Beyond acronym for what we do here at Beyond the Field and how we go about player development and helping others. This is a workbook I'm using to help guide the conversation that I've been able to use at the collegiate level and the high school level. So here it is right here. And so we're going to talk about those 3 tenets. Those 3 tenets are your athletes seen, valued, and heard? Seen, valued, and heard. They are very, very simple. They can be broad for some, but if we do things daily as far as belonging for our athletes in these core areas, in these tenets, it can go a long way. Seen, let's talk about being seen. One thing I've done with athletes is their name, right? People are seen when you know their name, right? Yeah, I've seen multiple coaches and I understand. I was a coach, I get it. Hey, 45, hey, 52, hey, whatever, right? And that works for a week if you're the new coach or if we're in camp and there's new jersey numbers, but there's nothing like calling a kid by their name, right? Either a name they were given or a nickname that they have, but that feels seen, right? Saying hello to them when you walk by them. I heard it was at one conference, I say hello to everybody when I was a high school coach. That's how we did things, right? That's just kind of how I was raised. My dad's from Southeast Texas, Woodville, Texas to be exact. And if you didn't say hello to anybody out there, I get a nice little pop. Hey, you better say something to these people, right? And there was an athletic director who was speaking at NACDA and he was saying that, hey, he tells staff members, when staff members walk by athletes, he stopped the staff member and say, hey, you say hello to the athlete because we have jobs because they're here, right? And so not only knowing their name, but hello, hey, how you doing? Hey, let's go. Great day, right? I've seen coaches go to the players that, are making plays, but are you making every athlete feel seen, right? So knowing their name, addressing them, saying hello, having your entire staff, hey, here it is, right? And then seeing, are you seeing them when things are happening, when they're accomplishing things, right? Hey, I see you. Academic meeting, they're having great week in academics or they've been doing great in the classroom. Let them know. We see what you're doing. I see you're doing well. Even on the other spectrum, right? When I was a teacher, there are some students I would have and athletes who do things the opposite way just because they want to be seen. So you're going to get in trouble because you know this is how you get attention. You want attention. Well, let me give you positive attention. Hey, I saw you came with a pen today. Great way to be prepared. Hey, I look at you. Hey, you getting better on time. I see you. Hey, you ain't missed no classes this week. I see what you're doing, right? Part of it, right? So making sure that they see that they're seen. Now, I started talking before I introduced myself. My name is Ed Jones. I'm the founder of Beyond the Field, where we develop people and elevate programs. I was in the role at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor University. I'm so thankful that you are here. Now, the next tenet is valued, right? Are they valued, right? Are they valued? Do they feel like did they make the right choice, right? So for me, working in college football, they made a choice. A lot of them had other offers, right? Other opportunities, other things. Some of them played other sports and they picked football, right? Are they valued? Are they in the right spot? Are we being honest with them? Honesty is a value, right? Truth hurts. Some of them guys don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it, but at least truth values. There was a player who I was at a school and he was a big time player, but we ended up recruiting a top 10 recruit in the nation. And so his playing time went significantly down, but what they wanted to do was move him to offensive line. And we had conversations. And I remember I was at the DMV with him getting his license and helping him walk through that. And I was like, hey man, I really think you should make this move to O-line. I think if you want to play in the NFL, a lot of scouts are asking if you ever played O-line, you're strong, you move well. They believe that you can translate with your body type. And he was just like, nah, I'm a D lineman. And so rather than just like letting him finish that, we had a conversation like, what is your goal? What is your goal, right? If your goal is to play in the NFL, if the NFL scouts and NFL coaches are saying, hey, you need to play O-line, then you need to play O-line. You need to start training for that. And so even though it was a difficult conversation, I had the conversation with him like, hey, I value in your future and the goals you have for yourself. So I think you're right at the precipice. You're right there. I think you should do this. Now, he disagreed and he did what he wanted to, right? And I'll never forget Mike Vrabel was calling for him at a pro day. Hey, where's so-and-so? Come over here. come over here, I got a bag. Let's see if you can, let's see some old line drills. And the kid declined. But when I talked to him later in life, he's like, man, you know what? I appreciate you for telling me the truth. Like, you kept it a buck with me, right? So he valued the relationship I had with him because it wasn't like, oh, okay, well, cool. I'm just going to let you do whatever, right? There's value in truth. I know that you have my best interest, even if I don't agree with what I think the best interests are. So there's value in there. Going back to like knowing names. What is a name? If a kid has a nickname, you keep calling them whatever it may be, or out of their name, they don't have value. Find out what their nickname is. What does that nickname come from? Maybe that's a family nickname. Your family says it. I don't need to say it, right? I want to value you as a person, right? I want to value, the people have different religious beliefs. People have different dietary restrictions. People have, different ways they go about it. We want to value everyone as they belong, right? You're from this part. International athletes, right? You got to value a lot. There's a lot of things going on internationally. You don't want to just put them in and like, hey, this is America. This is how we play football, whatever sport, go, right? You want to value them and the experience that they're having. And then the last one here is heard. Like, we did seen, value, heard. They need to be heard. They need to be heard. And when we look at this stuff, even I mentioned it in value, like I heard the player say why he wants to play D-line. And I could disagree, but at least he had someone he could talk to, right? And these players want to be heard. That's a part of belonging. We need to hear what they're saying. Now, we don't have to agree with everything they're saying, right? I'm not going to agree with everything that the players say, right? But they need to be heard. And I remember this story I've used multiple times here on this podcast. I was at a university, and during fall camp, normally like the third week of camp, there's always like a day where people go out, they do bowling, they do golf cart racing, they go top golf, they may go swimming, whatever it may be. And the players kept saying, we want to go to swim park. We want to go to swim park. We want to go to swim park. And so I went to the administration, chief of staff, head coach, let them know, hey, this is what they want to do. They want to go to swim park. The chief of staff's like, hey, can you look up bowling? I say respectfully, hey, multiple players have said this, multiple captains, multiple, like our leadership council, they want to go to a swim park. He's like, we hear them, but, and it's like, well, we're not hearing them because we're not even looking at options, right? And so I went to compliance. I was like, well, let me get my stuff prepared. And compliance said, hey, this is all you need to do, blah, 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 blah. So I went back to chief of staff, hey, talking to compliance, this is what we need to do to make this happen for the athletes because this is where they want to be. And we didn't do it. We went with bowling instead of that, and it wasn't fun. Actually, we didn't go bowling. We went with walk-ons. We went to walk-ons, and that is one of the craziest practices I've ever seen. A lot of fights. We had an NFL GM there. It was bad. It was bad. And the NFL GM addressed the team, but it was bad, and I felt bad. I was very frustrated because they had clearly communicated with us what they wanted to do, and it felt like, in this grand scheme, that they didn't belong. Like their opinions, whatever they asked, didn't belong. We could easily said, hey, we looked at it, we can't do it. Financially, we can't figure it out. It's too many waivers, whatever. At least we would have heard them, right? I have another example of a coach who he would always ask his leadership council about the movies. He'd say, hey, let's pick a movie, and they would pick a movie. And when we got to movie theater, he would pick whatever he wanted to watch. And then we have these conversations about why the guys are a little rowdy at the movies. It's like, you're not hearing them. They don't feel like they like their opinion, or their, like, this is not just the players. This is a leadership council, right? Our leaders. And so that's difficult there. But it's also good to listen to players and hear what they're saying. There have been times, I'll never forget, at the University of Kansas, we had a player, shout out to Adagio Lopetti. Adagio was like, Coach, I know we have COVID, but we need to get together. We need to get together. We got a lot of new guys. We need to get together. So we found a way, and it was one of the craziest things we ever did, like with spacing and social distancing, all that word, I haven't used that in a while, where we had like a carnival type situation where it was like, hey, there's Foursquare, there's kickball, there's wiffle ball. We had a couple food trucks, and it was great. It was a great event, but it was because we heard. I remember him coming to my office and saying, thank you, Coach. Thank you, right? And it helped us. It helped us build team and belonging during a time where we were all separated. And so those are 3 tenets there in belonging. Want to encourage you all to make sure you're making sure your players are seen, valued, and heard. If you want any more information on that, if you need my help with any of that, please let me know by clicking the link in the show notes. That is a beyond assessment for your program, where you go through and tell me where you are and beyond. I'll get back with you and we'll walk through what's necessary for you and your program. But those are 3 tenets in belonging and in the beyond framework. As I always say, go out and create generational impact. And if you missed last week, where we kind of talked about the beginning of belonging, the foundation of belonging, click here to watch that, and I'll see y'all again next week. Hey man, we going in on this belonging.